Well, hey, we're so glad that you're here. And we are continuing in our series called Growing Pains. And you know what? One thing I love about being an adult, being grown, is, I get to choose now to learn. How many of you guys have kids in school right now? You've got kids who go to school. I've got a little girl named Neely, and you know what? Right now, she doesn't like school. Some mornings she gets up and she goes, "Daddy, do I have to go to school?" And I'm like, "Yes, you do. You have no choice in this matter. I have to go to work. You have to go to school." But one thing I love about being an adult is I get to choose to learn. And not only do I get to choose to learn, but I get to choose to grow. I get to choose to apply the things that I learn, and I get to choose to grow. And growing is hard because growing takes effort. It takes commitment to grow. In fact, I would say it takes a lot of energy to grow. But it doesn't really matter if you have all those three things if you aren't willing to make the right decisions in your life. You see, for some of us, your problem is not your energy, your commitment, or your effort. It's that your decisions, because you see, your decisions will determine the direction of your life. And the direction of your life will be determined by the quality of your decisions. It's not your energy, it's not your commitment, it's not your effort. That's when situations come up that you have not predetermined a decision, that you don't know what the answer is going to be. You can make the wrong decision, or you can make not the best decision. So what I have found for myself is that when I choose ahead of time, when I choose to make this decision ahead of time, things will tend to go better for me in my life, and I will make better decisions. So have you ever done this before? Have you ever pre-decided what you're going to do? In fact, I have a little graphic of here, and it says, and this is what we can all do, is when we are faced with, pick your situation, you can pre-decide to take this action. For example, right now, I'm really trying this. I love Cokes. I love them so much, but I've been pre-deciding ahead of time, and I don't do this all the time right now, that when I go out to eat, I'm gonna order a water. That's a silly explanation, but you know what? I've got some more. Maybe when your alarm, maybe you're trying to get healthier. You're in the New Year's resolution right now, and you're trying to work out, and so you decided the night before, when my alarm gets off at 6 in the morning, I'm gonna get out of bed. I'm gonna go work out when that alarm goes off. I'm not gonna hit the snooze button. Or maybe when you're trying to get better at your budget this year. And so when you've run out of money on your eating out budget and it's only the 15th of the month, you've decided, I'm gonna go home and eat ramen noodles. Or if you're me, I'm gonna call my mom and dad and see if they'll take me out to eat. Whatever your situation is, I don't know what your situation is. Or you're gonna swipe the credit card, whatever you've decided. Maybe a more serious example would be is when you're feeling depressed or you're anxious or you're feeling suicidal, whatever that may be, is you've chosen, I'm gonna call this person. This person's gonna help me take my next step. Or maybe another serious example is when you're in a fight with your spouse and you've both decided, we're never gonna say I want a divorce, that we're in this marriage. We're gonna stick through it, hell or high water. We're in this marriage together. You see, when you've already predetermined the decision, then whatever situation comes up, you will do that specific thing. You're gonna have a higher chance of success. And I know when I make the right decisions, like to be a follower of Jesus, when I decide to grow, when I decide to take my next step with God, it creates this devotion to God. And so for some of you saying, what is devotion? Well, the devotion, the way that Jesus said it in Matthew 6:33 says this, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. I have decided that I will seek first the one who matters most. You see, I've already decided that I am devoted to Jesus. So what does it mean to be devoted? So let's take a look at this. In Acts chapter 2, verse 42, verse 43, this is what it says. It says, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to breaking bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and the signs performed by the apostles. And in this Greek word, when you translate devoted, it's an imperfect tense. It means that it's ongoing. It's an ongoing devotion. It's continually. They were continually devoted to one another. You see, the disciples, they had single-mindedness, an ongoing pursuit of Jesus. They knew what they needed to be focused on. They were not distracted by the cares of this life. So first, can you imagine, let's flip the script for a second, and imagine with me for a second a verse about today's Christians. And I know this is just parody, I promise, and it's not about anyone here in this room right now. You guys are perfect. You showed up today, and it was raining outside this morning. So let's look at this little verse right here of a parody of, and it says, so if it was today's Christians, it would be, they devoted themselves to themselves. They continually and passionately pursued a self-centered life of comfort and ease. And that version is the MCV, the modern Christian version. They just wanted to be comfortable, modern Christians. They just wanted to be liked by their friends. They just wanted to be popular. They just wanted to be TikTok famous. And they could, thank you, Trump. You got it back. Modern Christians, they just wanted to finish school. When I finish school, then I'll do it. Modern Christians, they just wanted, when I get the job that I love, when I marry the person I'm supposed to marry, when I have the nice house, when I travel, you know what, God, I'm just here to make it to heaven. And many of you might be saying that, well, that's not me, and I hope not. I hope that's none of us in this room today. But let me give you an illustration that might give us all some perspective with this issue. I actually have a graph. Each one of us in our life, we all get, where's the camera at? Let's see. We all get 168 hours. That's every single one of us. So let's think about how much we devote to our different activities. Let's go to the next graph real quick. And so for all of us, we probably spend a third of our time asleep. So that's like 8 hours a day if you're a normal person. Some people, you're 6, some people, you're 10, whatever. We're gonna go with the average here. So we've got an average, we're gonna spend about a third of our life asleep. Most of us are gonna spend about a third of our time at work or at school, whatever your situation is right now. So if we've taken that, we've already spent 2/3 of our life just in our week. That means we've got 1/3 left for all of our activities. That's 56 hours. Now, how many of you guys like social media? You like TikTok, you love it, it's awesome. You might be mildly addicted and you're not raising your hand right now. Well, if you like social media, you probably, on average, spend about 17 hours a week. That's a lot of time. Let's put up the social media of what, we have just taken up a chunk of our time right there. We just took up a third of our third. So we now have 39 hours left in our life. And this is to commute, to go to work, to do our chores at the house, to go to the gym for our physical health, to drive our kids to their activities, to help our kids with their homework, plus whatever hobbies that you have. Well, goodness gracious, let's put up the last graphic. We have taken up almost all of our time. There's not much left. And we can see on this little titty tiny, it's so small we can barely see it on the graph right here. We've got 1 hour left to give to God. Not to state the obvious, but if you only invest 1 hour a week into something, you're never gonna improve in it. You're never gonna get significantly better at it. I mean, let's just take our physical health, for example. If you only exercise for 1 hour a week, you can't expect to be in peak health. Especially if you're like me and you eat anything and everything that you can or you want. Let's take another example. Let's say you spend only 1 hour with your spouse in the same room. Do you guys think you're gonna have your dream marriage? I would say you're gonna be lucky if you're still married. Let's say if you're still in school, if you're in college and you study 1 hour a week for all of your classes. Do you think you're gonna graduate top of your class? You might be lucky to graduate. I'm saying all of this to say is that if we are only partially devoted to God, if we only spend the 0.6% of our time with God, it's not enough. If we only spend it when it's convenient to be with God, when it's easy to be with God, when there's nothing better to do and there's a little bit of rain, so I can't go hiking today, you're going to stay stuck with where you are. Now, I would say you'd be lucky if you stay stuck. I would say more than likely, you're gonna go backwards. And when you go backwards, you're gonna start asking yourself this question: why do I keep falling back into the same old sin? Why am I a Christian and I rarely share my faith with anyone? Why do I care more about what other people think than what God thinks about me? Why do I feel like a lukewarm Christian? Why am I spiritually dry? So if you want to change, you're going to have to make some choices. You're going to have to decide, I'm going to live a life full of devotion to Jesus. And it's never going to happen by accident. You are going to have to pre-decide to live an ongoing, single-minded pursuit of Jesus. So to answer the question, how do I do this? Well, in John chapter 15, Jesus is near a vineyard, and he gives us the way to be devoted to him. And this is what it says: I am the vine, you are the branch. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you could do nothing. John 15:5. So Jesus is the vine, I'm the branch. Would you say that with me? Jesus is the vine, I am the branch. When you, the branch, are connected to Jesus, the vine, you will start to bear fruit. So what fruit should we start to see in our life? In Galatians 5:22, it tells us what fruit should show up in our life. It says we should see love in our life, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. That fruit should show up. So the question I have to ask myself is, do I have these showing up in my life? And I can tell you when I have love showing up in my life. I become full of compassion. And it doesn't matter what someone has done for me, what they have not done for me, I can still choose to love them. Or patience, when I have spent time in God's word, I can tell you, I have extra patience. I have extra patience for my little girls who have lots of emotions right now. And guys, I need help with this. There was only boys in my house growing up. I don't know what to do sometimes. And so you know what? When boys, we were easy. You just throw us around and wrestle with us. Girls, you gotta be a prince to a princess. And so I need patience with my little girls. Or how about self-control? When someone does something to me, I need to have self-control, not to react, but to act in a way that the people around me, the people that might see that situation would say, wow, that guy must be a Christian. Look at that situation that happened to me. He didn't yell at him. He didn't get angry. He was calm. He was collected. Only a Christian could be like that. Listen, before having the fruits of the Spirit in my life, life felt empty. You see, when you don't have the fruits of the Spirit working in your life, that means you have the fruit of the world working in your life. So you get to choose. We all get to choose, what fruit am I gonna have in my life? I wanna encourage you, choose the good fruit. Start to be full in what matters the most and what's going to last. So how do we do that? How do we get this fruit into our life? Well, in the verse before that we just read, John 15:4, it gives us the answer on how to do that. And pay attention, because one word is going to appear 4 times in this verse. Let's read it together real quick. It says, remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. Any guesses on the word that we're supposed to do? We're supposed to remain in God. You see, when you translate that word remain into Greek, it translates into meno, which means to abide in or to live in. It means that you are dwelling with each other. It isn't just a 1 hour weekly duty to God. It means I'm fully devoted to God. I'm all in. I am devoted to the thing and to the one who matters the most. I don't fit God in when I can. I make God the priority of my life. In fact, I move things around to fit God in, not the other way around. And not to state the obvious, but the branch needs the vine. If you don't stay connected, guess what? You're dead. You're a dead branch. Why is that? It's because you have lost your life source. You've lost the way that you get nutrients, that you get fed. So now that you won't get nutrients, you won't bear fruit. You'll break easier. So how do we fix this? We go back to the vine. And guess what? Jesus is the vine. You are the branch. Be the branch. So now is the time to pre-decide that I am devoted to Jesus, that I will seek first the one who matters the most. And so today I want to give you some practical steps, a game plan of how you can do this. Now I'm not saying this is going to be 100%. You put this in place, it's going to work every time. But guess what? It's going to help you. It's going to help you if you will commit to it. And so I have 3 things that I want to share that we are going to apply to our life and that's going to help us remain in Jesus. And the first thing is we are going to pre-decide a time. So if you got taking down notes, you can go and write that down. We're going to pre-decide a time. Now for everyone in this room, it's going to be different. For some of you, it's going to be before your kids get up. You can set your alarm at 6 and you know, hey, I've got 30 minutes before my kids get up, and this is going to be my time that I'm going to spend with God. And for some of you, it might be the only time that you have. Others of you, you might be like, hey, I love to go to Starbucks, I love to go to Roasters, wherever it is, and I'm going to go grab coffee in the morning, and that's going to be my time. Others of you, you might go to your gym, and that might be your time. But whatever the case is for you, you will have a better chance of success if you pre-decide a time. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to pre-decide a place. Maybe it's a chair in the living room that's like everyone fights over that chair. And you're like, oh, this is my chair. I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna read my Bible, whatever. It might be on your back porch. If you're a parent, maybe you have to go lock yourself in your bathroom and hope you have enough time before your kids are knocking under the door, before your little kids are sticking their fingers under the door like, Mom, Dad, where are you? Maybe it's on your commute. And I don't feel like that's the best way, but it might be the only time right now for you to be with God. In fact, I have a quick little story about this. My Grandsy came to visit one time, and she was staying with my parents. And one of the first things she did was when she was staying at their house, and she looked around the house and was like, where's going to be my spot that I'm going to get alone with God? And she looked at my mom, and it was on the porch in my parents' house, and she said, while I'm here, this has got to be my spot in the morning. I can't wait to get alone with the Lord. She knew that when she got there, she needed a place. She needed a place that she would come and hear from God. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to pre-decide a plan. What are you going to do when it's time for you to spend time with God? Is it a prayer list? Are you going to journal? Are you going to listen to a podcast about God? One thing I would encourage you to do is that if you've never done this before is download the Bible app and pick a plan from there. You know, right now I'm on the Bible app with a couple of men from the church, and we're going through the Bible in a year. And you know what? We've all decided we all have the same amount of time. We all get 168 hours this week. You know, we get to choose in these 168 hours if we're going to connect with God. We get to choose. And if we take the time to listen to God, to align our hearts with what's going to last, not with what's temporary, not with what feels good, not with what's easy for me to do, but if I do that, I'm going to choose to seek God first. I'm going to choose to seek Jesus first in my life. No matter if something's happening in my life, no matter if there's a situation, if my heart changes, I'm gonna choose to chase after him. I'm gonna choose to hear from him. God, you're gonna direct my steps. God, you're gonna speak to me. God, I'm gonna hear your words. God, I'm gonna use your wisdom. God doesn't get what's left over in my life. God's not just a part of my life. God is my life. God is your life. He's our life in our prayer time. He's our life, he's our devotion. We are devoted to him. I'm devoted into seeking Jesus first. And when I seek him first, he impacts every part of my life. He impacts my work life. How would you like to know that Jesus is with you walking through work every single day, that I've already spent time with my God and he's directing my steps? He's directing all of my decision making. That when I'm making decisions about a vacation, about work, about my kids, what I need to do with them, he's with me. He's with me in my money, knowing where to invest in, what to do, where to take this job, where to move to here, whatever it is to do, he's with me. He's with me in my parenting. Hello, what to do with this kid versus this kid. Every kid is unique and different. We need God's wisdom to help us. And he's with me in all of my relationships with my spouse, my kids, my family, extended family, friends, acquaintances. He's with me and he's talking to me. And when he's talking, I'm listening to him. And I'm aligning my heart to what lasts. And when you do that, you will leave a life full of legacy. Not just spiritual, but in every aspect of your life. In fact, I remember there was a man who was our missionary to Brazil, and his name was Richard Dickerson. I don't know if you got the pleasure to meet him. He was a wonderful man of God. And he gave his life to the people of Brazil. And I can remember he was at the end of his life, and he had moved back to Canyon, and I was helping him with a project. And as I was helping him with this project, we were walking through this sanctuary trying to figure out some audio stuff, and I'll never forget at the end of the conversation, he stopped me and he said, Richie, I have cancer all over my body right now, and I have no idea how much longer I have. Everything I'm doing, everything that I've done is about leaving a legacy to the people who are here without me, who are gonna be here without me. What a crazy place to be in our life. To know your life's work is ending. To know that all the decisions you've made, all the people you've impacted, your time is almost done. That you've either chosen to live a life devoted to Jesus or you haven't. That you've either chosen to follow God, to share the gospel, to share your faith, to say, I want you to be in heaven with me, or not. What a crazy place to be. So you see, what Richard understood is it's hard. Devotion is hard. That good decision is hard. It's hard to impact the world around you. It's hard to impact your work life around you. It's hard to impact that extended family that drives you nuts. It's hard. And it's not gonna be convenient. It's not gonna be convenient to be a follower of Jesus Christ. You see, there's never been anyone who was devoted to Jesus by accident. Oh, I just started reading the Bible 5 hours a day, and no one's ever done that. They made a decision. They made a decision to be devoted to Jesus, and they had to pre-decide ahead of time. And so for all of us here today, we get to choose. Are we gonna seek the one who matters the most? Are we gonna seek him with a time, a place, and a plan? The moment you start to do this, there's gonna be some resistance in your life. There's gonna be things pop up in your life that you could have never imagined, never thought of. There's gonna be resistance. There's gonna be distractions. When you start setting your alarm at 6 a.m., it's amazing. Your kids start getting up at 6 a.m. too. They magically know you're awake. And there's gonna be a reason to quit. I'm too far behind. I can't catch up to the other people around me. I'm just gonna give up on this Bible reading. Oh, that small, I've already missed twice in that small group. I'll just go next semester. Man, things are crazy in my life right now. I'll go next semester. Tomorrow never comes. But if you pre-decide, I'm devoted to Jesus. It doesn't matter if I miss 2 weeks. It doesn't matter if I'm how many days behind. It doesn't matter. I'm devoted to Jesus. I'm not gonna focus on the unimportant. I'm not gonna find an excuse. I'm going to let the important lead away in my life. Your life will be better for it. And it won't just impact you. It'll impact the people around you. Jesus is the vine. You are the branch. My encouragement to you is to be the branch, to seek first his kingdom. And so for myself and everyone here and all of us who are gathered here today, I hope that you would join me in seeking first the one who matters the most. And that you would say, I am devoted to Jesus. Would you stand with me today? For all of us here, would you bow your heads? If you're in the place today and you're in your life and you're saying, you know what? This is something I need. I want to start following this life. I want to pre-decide a time. I want to pre-decide a place where I'm going to spend time with you, God. I'm going to pre-decide a plan for you in my life. If that's you today, would you just raise your hand with me? That today we would know we're following after you, God. That we're not going to let the cares of this world take us away, but we're going to know, God, you're in control of our life. You're in our life, you're leading us, and we're following after you. So Lord, I just pray right now, God, for all of us raising our hands, God, that Lord, we're choosing today, Lord, to follow after you. We're choosing today that we're not going to live our life the same. We're going to live our life following after you, God. That we are going to choose to take our next step in you. We are going to choose to be the branch, Lord. And so, Lord, I pray right now, God, that you would just minister to our hearts. Show us where you want us to be. In Jesus' name.